PwCoopers was almost on the verge of sinking, right? They escaped narrowly. The partner involved of Pricewaterhouse who signed the audit reports of Satyam, he was also in jail, but PwC as an entity itself was on the verge of sinking. But because of the international clout or whatever reasons, they managed to just escape. In those days, it was like PwC is also gone, right? A new board was set up, so the existing board was disbanded and a new board was set up, and this fraud was called as India's Enron. Satyam was in those days traded also on New York Stock Exchange. So New York was suspended from New York Stock Exchange, it was removed from National Stock Exchange and Bombay Stock Exchange, and Raju was arrested. Then Government of India on 5th February 2009 appointed Mr. A.S. Murthy as the new CEO of Satyam, and some prominent experts were also nominated on the board. So I remember one Mr. T.M. Manoharan, who was the president of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. On behalf of CA Institute, he was asked to join the board. And very prominent personalities were asked that why don't you oversee how the work is getting done in Satyam. And Raju and 9 others were convicted after a long legal process on April 2015. And so what happened to Satyam then? So Satyam was acquired by Tech Mahindra. So Tech Mahindra acquired 46% stake in Satyam because the company was good. There were some parts of the company. So it's like, some apples are good and some apples are rotten. So what do? You just throw the rotten apples, still take the good apples. You don't want to, because lots of employees' job was at stake. Government, when it takes any decision, has to consider the impact on employees also, right? You don't want thousands of employees to lose their jobs if it is possible to save the company. Tech Mahindra proposed that we are happy to take 46% share in Satyam through a formal public auction process, and subsequently that was 2009, and directors of Tech Mahindra approved the merger of Satyam with itself, and the merger happened in June 2013, right? Next. Yeah, what was the consequence? So Satyam scandal was, let's say, the forerunner to the new Indian Companies Act. As it is, there was a discussion going on that the Indian Companies Act of 1956 needed to be changed. The Indian regulations needed to be updated, considering so many things had changed since independence. See, 1956 Act was formulated primarily during early 50s, right? The situation had changed drastically in the next 50-60 years, and so in 2013 we came up with a new Companies Act, which came up with some extra measures to protect the minority investors. So, but the problem is, any act can come up with n number of measures, but as long as people are motivated by greed, they will somehow bypass the laws and then do what they want. Of course, some may be caught, some may not be caught. Eventually, you have to pay the price. Yeah. Next. So this part is understood. So let's look at another corporate governance issue related to. I'll now keep it very short and sweet. Yeah, because this is, let's say, we are talking of, this session 7 and 8 were revenue recognition, earnings management, irregularities, frauds. That was the essence of session 7 and 8. And in line with your suggestion कि कुछ तो हमारी भी case studies लाओ, we have come up with, he had anyways explained 5 to 6 globally, so I thought let me introduce 3. So this way we are just covering how companies have done frauds in general, right? So ICICI Bank scam is basically, what had happened was Mrs. Chanda Kochar was the CEO, right? So Mrs. Chanda Kochar had a husband, Mr. Deepak Kochar, and Mr. Deepak Kochar was very close to Mr. Venugopal Dhoot of Videocon. They had business relationships. And in 2011, Mr. Venugopal Dhoot of Videocon applied to ICICI Bank for a loan of how much? 3,250 crores. 3,250 crores, and of course, he was close to the CEO's husband. CEO was Mrs. Chanda Kochar. So, see, it is said that the loan was sanctioned on merit. I don't want to comment, this is a company which is doing very well even today, and I don't want to comment anything negative against anyone, but we all know that funny period.
There was a body formed na, to like if the company is about to get bankrupt, the body would take over the company so that they could.
Insolvency, yeah, that was insolvency and bankruptcy कोड के अंदर
Which company?
इंसॉल्वेंसी एंड बैंक्रप्सी कोड के अंदर आता था वो.
Okay.
So we won't enter that territory also.
So that is taken by government. Like
Which one?
That was formed by government itself
So
to avoid the bankruptcy.
yeah, this is true. So Aman just mentioned that a body was formed which is called as insolvency and bankruptcy code. So a body under insolvency and bankruptcy code, they basically come up with a rescue measures basically, and some people are, now the CA Institute, the CS Institute and the Cost Accounting Institute, all three have come up with their own respective bodies under insolvency and bankruptcy code, and they train members who are then called as, let us say, IBC professionals, and these professionals are the ones who are managing the companies that are on the verge of bankruptcy under the supervision of some authorities. So coming back to ICICI, and it's a personal opinion, so nothing against anyone, right? If they say, it is said that Mr. Deepak Kocher's loan was sanctioned on merit. It is said. I am inclined to believe it. But if it was genuinely sanctioned on merit, or if it was, let us say, rightly sanctioned on merit, even then there were multiple issues that happened in this case. The first thing was, why do you have to go to ICICI Bank only for loan? If it was such a genuine case of getting a bank loan, why do you have to go to ICICI Bank for getting the loan? Purely on merit, it should have been sanctioned by HDFC Bank, Axis Bank, Punjab Bank, SBI or Bank of Baroda or any other bank in the country. Purely on merit, if it was everything was done purely on merit, then you could have gone to anybody and got your loan sanctioned. First thing, right? Second thing is, even if Videocon Group, Mr. Dhoot, went to ICICI Bank, Mrs. Chanda Kocher, the CEO of the bank, did not disclose her interest in the transaction. She failed to report that her husband has strong business links with Venugopal Dhoot of Videocon, right? So it's like, the CEO's husband is a friend of the person who has come to take loan from the bank. So, you know what I am saying?
Yes.
So, these kind of issues were the single biggest reasons why Mrs. Chanda Kocher had to eventually resign, right? So, just looking at what happened, the loan was sanctioned initially by a credit committee which consisted of 8 people, and 4 of whom were very highly qualified MBA or highly qualified professionals who used business model computations and suggested sanctioning of the credit facility. Then the proposal went to the ICICI Bank Board of Directors, where 12 people, including CEO Chanda Kocher, reviewed it for final approval. Chanda Kocher's husband clearly had business links, and so what had happened was, this was approved by a vote of 12-0 in favor of the sanction. So the entire board had sanctioned the loan. Mrs. Chanda Kocher, the single biggest issue against her was she did not disclose her interest. You are supposed to disclose the interest, right? if you are sitting, you know how meetings operate, right? Very often if the big boss says something, then many people tend to say yes, either because they genuinely agree with the big boss or because they don't want to disagree with the big boss. Are you getting what I am saying? So, this 12:0 sanctioning by the board, 11 others agreed with the suggestion, but her presence at the meeting was seen as an irregularity. Because ideally you should have said, I am walking out of the room, 11 of you decide. Are you getting what I am saying? One, she should have disclosed the interest. My husband has business link with this person. Second, she should have said, I am walking out of the room, 11 of you decide.